A warm welcome back to GlobeTrotting. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, trying to push again for 100,000 at some point. Boeing's persistent desire to innovate and launch new planes throughout the mid to late 1900s and early 2000s certainly underpinned a lot of why the business succeeded. However, innovation has somewhat been less successful in the last decade, and many onlookers have wondered what the American manufacturer's next move will be. Much of that focus comes from Boeing's direct competitor, Airbus, which only continues to advance and widen the gap with its own commercial airplane offerings. Given Boeing's stature as one of the world's leading aircraft manufacturers, calls for the company to unveil a new aircraft to compete with Airbus have continued. However, Boeing has clarified that launching a new commercial airplane isn't a priority at this stage for several fundamental reasons. Callie Ortberg, the man tasked with turning around Boeing and the newly appointed CEO, recently spoke about the plane maker's status within the industry and how that translates to prospects for a new aircraft. Ortberg noted that Boeing has been burning through cash for most of 2024 as it grapples with ongoing production and certification issues. This has left the plane maker with little to no room to invest in an entirely new design. Further suggestions were made that a new aircraft may also not be required at this point, pointing to existing product lines as being the solution to meet any current market demands. Ortberg's stance has certainly received mixed reactions, as its competitor only widens the gap, and I'd love to hear your take on that opinion. Is a new plane required now or not? Some onlookers have felt that Boeing has needed a new plane for many years, but hasn't moved ahead because of the many complications it has felt. Those gains from Airbus have been seen through planes such as the A321XLR, for which Boeing has no true competitor for. Aircraft types such as these, alongside the feeling that there is a lack of a dedicated replacement for certain middle-of-the-market airliners, could point towards missed opportunities from Boeing. The past few years, however, have been nothing short of tumultuous for Boeing. These years have cast doubt on the plane maker's ability to undertake such a colossal project without something, say, going very wrong. Remember, that colossal project would likely involve a clean sheet with massively updated technologies to try and make whatever upgrade they are pitching to their airlines worthwhile. The 737 MAX crisis, which was triggered by 2 fatal crashes, certainly exposed some pretty deep flaws in the company's engineering, certification, and corporate culture. And as a result, regulator scrutiny on Boeing has intensified. And this was highlighted at the beginning of 2024 when a door blowout revealed that work across the 4 years following the crashes hadn't really done all of that much. Boeing has now been forced to regain the trust of not just the regulators, but airline customers and even passengers who already saw the plane maker, remember, as a tainted brand, and now may very well perceive it to be in an unrecoverable state, where the brand will forever be viewed in one sole light, which is fair considering what has happened, but unfortunate on all accounts. Compounding these issues is Boeing's inability to certify current aircraft on time, which then trickled down to impacting airline operations. The 777 program, for instance, has faced repeated delays, with the first delivery pushed back to 2026 after another company delay in the last few months. Production issues have added another layer of complexity. The 787 Dreamliner faced prolonged delivery suspensions throughout the early stages of the 2020s and before then, due to quality control concerns. These challenges have hurt the company's bottom line and highlighted all the inefficiencies that must be resolved. It hasn't just been the 787 Dreamliner. You've got to remember the MAX has also seen suspensions in delivery and production across many periods in the last half-decade, resulting in this needing its complete focus. The COVID-19 pandemic, which was completely out of any aircraft manufacturer's control, dealt a heavy blow to our beloved aviation industry as well, and Boeing was no exception. Airlines cancelled orders, deferred deliveries, and significantly impacted our plane makers and their cash flow. The pandemic also delayed any potential discussions about a new aircraft, as manufacturers and airlines, well, they were focused more on survival rather than growth and weren't looking to commit to new planes with so much uncertainty around the industry. Emerging from the pandemic, Boeing faced a very different scenario. Its period in the pandemic was at a time when it was also battling to get the MAX back in the skies, with regulators heavily inspecting the jet, all the while a virus was ravaging through our planet. Investigations that did take place around this period uncovered a corporate culture that overly focused on cost cutting, often at the expense of safety and quality, two fundamental pillars of running an aircraft business. Employees on the floor often felt that their voice was not heard when they were presenting their concerns with the company. Ultimately, fixing these systematic issues has taken precedence. While it was a priority at the turn of the decade, I've got to reiterate that clearly not much progress was done, because a door blowout incident in the first week of 2024 revealed that there were still some pretty hefty underlying issues. As a result, Boeing's ability to proceed with the ambitious project, such as a new commercial airplane, wouldn't have made sense, no matter how much maybe they wanted to close the gap between themselves and competitor Airbus, which is at least something that Ortberg has been discussing for quite some time now. He would rather shift the negativity into internally how are they going to better themselves and really close that gap. Some industry analysts argue, however, that Boeing missed a critical window when launching this new plane. Airbus has taken the lead in the narrow-body market, and this is particularly felt with the A321XLR, a massive hit for airlines. And remembering that this is a plane that has only just entered scheduled passenger service, Boeing's absence in this segment has been a hot topic of conversation, leading to the generalized opinion that it may very well have just ceded the middle of the market space to its rival, and it's going to struggle to recover in the future without a true almighty effort. However, by not launching a new commercial airliner, Boeing has also decided that waiting could be a better decision, especially if such a plane was to be a clean sheet. Why is this? Well, thanks to the development of new technologies, particularly with a focus around sustainability, the next commercial airliner could certainly redefine how flying is done. By waiting, Boeing, yes, may lose ground now. However, in the long run, they hope they can position themselves to leapfrog Airbus with their next generation plane. Is this risky? Oh, absolutely. They are relying on unproven technologies to develop enough to be adopted into a new commercial airliner, but that could be applied to any new aircraft, and they're quietly confident that their next plane is going to be a hit whenever that is. It just won't be as soon as maybe initially some would have imagined. Boeing still has a long road ahead before its primary focus can be placed on the launch of a new commercial plane. As touched on, there are several reasons that have prevented the company from proceeding with this new aircraft, and while that allows Airbus to take significant strides ahead, it is arguably the right move for Boeing when there are other things that require its focus. By not launching this plane, the American manufacturer has the opportunity to rebuild its business, sort through supply chain niggles, production difficulties, output problems, and certification delays. While a new plane may not seem on the horizon, it is still also important for Boeing to continue assessing what's next, and study technologies that will be able to be adopted into a new commercial airliner sometime in the future. And for whatever that is, no doubt we'll all be waiting and keeping a close eye and very excited about hopefully seeing the American plane maker once more in a positive light. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. Please take care, do be safe, and I'll see you in a couple of days for your latest industry analysis.
And we'll fly.